Welcome back, guys, to the third game of World Championship Through the Ages, Stage 6. And first of all is in the first position, I'm in the second, and Gengisip is in the third. After the first two stages, I sadly did not make screenshots, but if you haven't seen the videos, Gengisip managed to win one of the first player games and end up second in the other, so he's at 9 points. I ended last in one and won one, so I'm at 6 points, and first of the DAO was second in one and third in the other, so he is at 4 points. So that's the standings, and yeah, these 3-player games will be very important for me if I want to maintain a chance of entering the finals. If you're not aware, only the first one, since this is a lower bracket, only in the first one of the group enters the finals. So this is already a very deciding game. And we see first of all here in the first position starts with the pyramids, looks pretty decent to me. Then I can go for EG and a rich land. I will have access to good leaders still, so I don't need to take a Moses here. And I actually do prefer the rich land over urban growth in most cases. And Gengisip goes for Moses and a Rome roads. We see, first of all, Dao going for Confucius. With pyramids, I might actually prefer Aristotle, but on the other hand, that would leave Confucius for me, or yeah, for me, so do understand it. Confucius is a pretty strong leader, especially in the first position, so it's a solid choice. I go for Boudica here. I think she's pretty solid in third player, in 3-player games. She's very susceptible to having to use rocks for military, since you only have to be only one guy has to be stronger than you, and then it triggers if you're on one of the 2 weakest civilizations, so only one guy has to be stronger and it triggers, so it's pretty likely that it happens at some point. Then again, if you can make use of the rocks in military, to put it into military like reasonably, then I think it's actually pretty good even. So yeah, let's see how that works out. I think she's decent, even in 3-player. And I interestingly do skip a wonder. That's maybe a good moment to look at the leaders and wonders. I did see there's interesting wonders to take from in H1. So there's a Forbidden City, Silk Road early is nice, Himeji Castle is good, even a Great Wall possibly is interesting as an early wonder sometimes. Especially when you know that your opponents are very, especially Gengisip is very military style player, then a Great Wall can come in pretty handy. And all the other wonders are, yeah, maybe except Silk Road, but Forbidden City, Castle, and also St. Pete's are also good wonders in military heavy games, since they give happy faces, strength, and yeah. So I skipped, not too fond of Stonehenge and Hanging Gardens in general. Gengisip goes for a bronze, populates a bunch with Moses. Nothing special here. First up, our seeds reveals development of warfare, and now that's a little unlucky since I'm in the second spot, and now yeah, her ability triggers already, although if I get the free warrior, can I still tank science then? Possibly it works like that. I'm actually not 100% certain right now. I definitely am able to get the warrior. There's a development of civil life. And okay, what happened here? Ah yeah, Boudica gave 1 science, so I was wrong. if I could not have taken the warrior, then it would be a little awkward. But like this, it's fine. And there's actually a pretty early irrigation, which I like, because it will enable me to make use of the extra rocks for military if that is required. And yeah, it's a good timing for the irrigation. I like it. Ingesip goes for philosophy, takes irrigation, takes cultural heritage, interestingly. Possibly has a plan with that, but okay, he does not really have anything to do, anything left to do. He could possibly go for a leader. Yeah. But why I'm a little surprised by it is that he has the Roman roads. Roman roads require a lot of civil actions, and then cultural heritages might just end even reserves. They might just not be the best choices with the Roman roads in hand, honestly. I would strongly consider getting leader, but then again, I have to admit both leaders in a vacuum not that strong. Isabella is okay, but not really that strong in a vacuum. We can take a look again at the leaders. There's Gutenberg, there's Saladin. Yeah, I'm not certain. Maybe it would have been okay to go for Isabella here. Yeah, not a huge fan of this. Christoph Dao obviously can seed since he has Confucius, and development of planning is revealed. He goes for Jeanne d'Arc. He goes for free religion, I assume. Oh wait, not. Okay, the options are agriculture, trade routes, crafts. Goes for the temple with the development of civil life, actually. Possibly did not have another option for that. It seems like that. He has to trigger it first, right? Before planning, yeah. So he did not have another option. Then, if you have no option, I assume, especially with Jeanne d'Arc in the row, it looks kind of reasonable to use that on a religion. And is not willing to swap yet. That's very understandable. It's one certain science versus her benefits in the first position. He has a lot of information about what is going on in there anyway, so that's relatable. We see settlement revealed. I was willing to seed. Sadly, I did not see now what I seeded. I also don't remember. We will be surprised by that together. Or you rewind and have some information advantage. And here is the case where he went with the tactic, sadly. We just went for the tactic, and then I'm left with the choice of whether to use the rocks or not. And I decided to do it since I, as I said, have a good food situation going. There's 3 warriors now. Yeah, and in 3-player games, possibly I even seeded a colony, I'm not entirely certain, but there's always some colonies going on. We already see a fighting band that I can go for at some point, so I think in some it's super reasonable to just go for the warrior and take a bread and circus in hand. It's a nice happiness solution. There is the Kubateur in the game, so I'm preparing to be a little aggressive myself, possibly. We might even see me seeding this Uncertain Borders or Crusades, depending on what happens now in the row also. Genghis increases population, is going for Nostradamus, also interestingly, since we see him having Rome roads to build and 2 yellow cards that require civil actions, and there's just the Saladin that gives civil actions. Would have been a good choice, I guess, but he's deciding for Nostradamus, prefers the being somewhat safe, possibly winning some Reign of Terror also himself, so that is his choice here. I think I'm not certain. I think I would have possibly gone for Saladin here and taken one of those. He's still probably going to take one of those, yeah. I mean, if he has a medieval army, for example, then maybe he doesn't even need the extra strength, but it's kind of hard to say. I mean, he has more information than me, obviously, here. But I value Saladin quite highly, and especially with his situation, I think he would be very valuable. Development of religion revealed, and yeah, Fest of the Hour cannot go for that. Wait, he could? Oh yeah, settlement was already still before, so he gets another religion, and now he gets another free way to get stronger than me again. And he even goes for the another path for that, just upgrades the swordsman. Does still not go for Jeanne d'Arc, although the event started. Yeah, I mean, science income is not bad, right? Just 1 science per turn. It's not a bad thing, and he's strongest anyway. He doesn't need the strength. He has a lot of information about the deck anyway, so yeah. Okay, now let's see what I would seed. Uncertain Borders or Crusades, or will I seed even? As the weakest now, I might just consider not to, and I do not seed, actually. I increase my pop. I do take Saladin, gladly, actually. And build another warrior. And with 4 warriors and the Great Wall in the row, I think it's just like destiny that it's here. I have to take it, right? I even have exactly the amount of rocks with the EG in hand to build it still. So I think that's in total, yeah, super nice development for me. Great Wall first. As I said, that it could be interesting. I already thought about it before. Now it's here. The only problem that possibly can come up is with Ravages of Time. That's always bad to lose an H1 wonder to Ravages when the other guys have HA wonders lying around. Especially Pyramids is nice target for Ravages oftentimes. Rome Roads not so much in my opinion, so but still both of them would gladly seed that, I guess, if they get it. But yeah, that's not certain that they get it, obviously. So here we see Gangsip just building the Rome roads, has no civil actions left to do anything else. He also interestingly didn't seed. So maybe didn't have the option, maybe some other reason. That he saw, okay, he can even be strongest, and maybe he seeded some strongest event, but science sounds a little unlikely. Maybe it's kind of unlikely that he didn't have the option, but it kind of looks like it. Or yeah, maybe no. The reason I just thought of was corruption reasons, but he had no corruption reasons. And there's a new deposits revealed. First of Dow finally chooses to go for Jeanne d'Arc, go for a printing press, build a printing press. Let's look at this decision. There is Shakespeare in the game. Darwin with 2 religions is a little awkward, but Shakespeare might be reason enough. And later Dietrich, so I think I do like the printing press. It is a little greedy, but he has swordsman already. He has Jeanne d'Arc with 2 religions. So I think he can afford to be a little greedy, and yeah. So what else would he have done here? Go for philosophy, okay, and then yeah, uncertain. The problem with this is not. It's kind of hard to go to more science now, but he can still go for alchemy possibly. He will not have food for that. Maybe he would actually prefer to have two alchemy here. It's kind of hard to judge. In a 101, I would say it's 100% correct with Shakespeare in the game, and in 3-player, it's, I don't know. In 4-player, it's possibly just wrong, and in 3-player, it might be somewhere in between. So it's hard to judge that. Let's see how it turns out to be. Takes a regent as the last civil action and is even willing to upgrade a warrior to a swordsman here. In my turn, I'm quite happy to have access to this masonry. It's always, I value it quite highly. So I already mentioned in one of the other games. Maybe might be wrong sometimes, since also this time I have some science issues. And still, I decide to go for that, even not use the EG, because it would be corruption if I used it. But there's still some time left, and I hope that I will just get access to another one the next turn. And in that regard, the masonry turns out to be very valuable. So it might just be a basilica, it might just be a forbidden city. So let's see how that turns out. I adapt the fighting band, and I'm at 10 strength, so I'm even strongest here. And all of a sudden, first of tower is weakest with this Jeanne d'Arc 2 swordsman setup. So yeah, depending on what events are in there, I do understand the Nostradamus, but also most events are played by first of tower, right? Did Genghis even play one? It's literally 100% of events? Or is this just not working correctly? I think I did seed one. We don't even see what has been revealed. It was new deposit, but why is it so awkwardly programmed? There is a science being revealed. Genghis goes for reserves, so he can populate, takes monarchy, develops monarchy, and builds a lab. I like it. First of Dow goes for iron here and upgrades twice and even upgrades 3 times. And yeah, here we are with this situation where it looks like he's not really able to improve his science anytime soon very, very nicely. And it would have possibly been better to have this philosophy, only upgrade twice, take alchemy in hand. Always easy to say in hindsight, but yeah, I've learned that lesson the hard way myself. Being stuck on +2 science for too long time can really hurt the game. Let's see how he manages to deal with this situation. There's a Silk Road possibly, but it's also only 1 science income, so it doesn't really fix the situation, just improves it a little. There's another science though from the cards, so that's that. And I decide to go for the Himeji Castle. Basically, I think I decide for that. It has a lot of value in the game. It's a similar reason to this 4-player game, last game. It looks like I can just create a culture advantage, possibly on Genghis, possibly. And yeah, just in general, this Himeji Castle is an S-tier wonder. It might in a vacuum be almost always better than Forbidden City. I have a happiness solution. I have 2 happiness faces already anyway. Yeah, and another reason is that the castle in doubt, if there is a Ravages of Time and I have both of these, then I might not want to lose any of those, but losing a castle sometimes is not that bad. So maybe in total those are the reasons why I went for Himeji Castle. Can still use my EG, not let it go to waste, and take iron at the end. Yeah, also here I tend to prefer iron. Maybe, especially with the masonry, alchemy could just be a better option, but I do have a Richland already in hand, so yeah. What do you guys think? What card do you prefer? In 1-on-1 I would always go for iron, but maybe in multiplayer the alchemy is just a little better, possibly. Especially when you still need a government. Gengi ships eats and Reds is revealed. It's kind of equally bad for everyone. Oh, I can't really judge that actually, I just say that, but yeah, it doesn't hurt me too much. And it looks like it's kind of equally bad for everyone. And interesting, he still goes for knights here and goes for Forbidden City. Don't know if there's a very specific reason to go for knights still, but I guess he doesn't want to create a chance where First of Dower surpasses him in strength. Possibly that indicates some weakest events like Reign of Terror or Raiders or Call to Arms, so maybe something to look out for. Takes Code of Law and Breakthrough. Trade route agreements offered from First of Dower to Gengisip, and Gengisip arguably with a better side of the pact, and I honestly cannot see a reason right now to offer that. He even has this one food lying around awkwardly that he can just use away now. Yeah, I think when I saw that in the game, I was like, what? He has this one food lying around that is awkward anyway, and he can use it away. And I don't see when he is going to use a rock as a food anytime soon. So, yeah. I think at some point I felt like that this guy was playing for him, like a secret agent. I don't see the reason really. Why does he do that? Please leave a comment, enlighten me. Maybe my vision is too narrow for the greatness of this pact, but I have no idea. I will try to find a reason now. He can get reserves, but with this, the reserves is 4 food anyway, right? An H2 reserves. So, no. That's not the reason. Okay, I'm done. I can't find the reason. I go to finish the castle. And here I make an interesting decision to go for Warfare for the 3rd red cube, because I think I can create actually a lot of pressure if I draw the correct cards with this wall for warrior setup. If I draw the correct cards, I think yeah, some pressure is possible, so I am willing to go for the Warfare. The Warfare also has always the option or the benefit of being able to go for Republic. Republic is really awkward without the 3rd red cube, and yeah, that's why I do that. I guess Napoleon would also be an option, but it's not a good Napoleon setup here that I have, and I'm not willing to pay those 3 silver actions for that. He might even still be in the row for in the next turn. So yeah, as my last 2 silver actions, science is the biggest problem, and I just go for the breakthrough here. Yeah, very neat that this card is here. There's Raiders, and yeah, maybe a little surprisingly, I am not part of that against Nostradamus that built 4 military units and has a decent tactic, so the wall and Himeji Castle combo paying off really nicely here. And Genghis can finish the Forbidden City to also solve his uprising issues. And in the end, with the Raiders, it didn't make a difference, this pact, but well, we let it go now. Vast territory revealed, and Fist of Tao was willing to bid 4. And that's actually 2 swordsmen. Yeah. The vast territory can be worth 2 swordsmen, and possibly it is also here, but there is a problem, and that is that I have 13 strength and just have drawn 3 H2 cards, and I also had some H1 cards, and he does go for Napoleon, but Napoleon isn't even better than Jeanne d'Arc here. It's even literally worse, and he also decides to finish the Wonder and not rebuild the fighting band, just in order to get more draws, I guess. With 2 H2 defense cards, he could defend an aggression. And I am, here considering whether I will try an aggression or not, but honestly, I will always try that, since he has just shown that he didn't have colonization cards because he sent 2 swordsmen away. It would be some next level bullshittery, I guess, if he had colonization cards and didn't use them for the colony. So it's super unlikely that he can defend, and that's why I will always try that aggression. And I choose the plunder. It's just more impactful, and that's super good for my game. Obviously, this plunder is very, very strong, and in the end, I am not certain if this. I guess this can be considered quite the blunder by him to bid both swordsmen. I assume he just wanted to make it more expensive, possibly for someone. But yeah, in the end, I was quite happy that it turned out like this. And taking away almost all his resources, and that one food that prevents him from populating. Although, as we see, now the pact, we found it. He can use the frugality. I'm not certain if I saw that in the game. I probably did, but I decided that the rocks are still more valuable for me. So I did like this. Take journalism and Richland. I guess I want to keep 8 rocks, so I have the option to build a journalism next turn, and that's why I take Richland instead of upgrading this once more. And yeah, that's the turn. That boosted my game quite heavily, obviously. Just this plunder. Then there's Dark Ages, lose 1 science, Genghis loses 2 science. Let's see how that interferes. Yeah, that means that's actually quite sad, because that means no journalism, unless there's still a Confucius card here, which is not that unlikely. Or maybe it is, since it's already the second deck. Maybe it's already quite unlikely. There might also be scientific breakthrough, but yeah. We see James Watt, quite a good leader. If you don't have irrigation or iron yet, and you can just go for coal here. I do think James Watt in 3-player, 4-player is quite the strong leader indeed. It's not the best timing, or maybe it is. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that's not per se a leader that you want to play for a long time, but yeah. Another pact. First of Tao produce an extra rock, Genghis produce an extra food. It is what it is. And interestingly, that means he cannot populate. Yeah. I have drawn war actually, and my target is first of Dao. Since yeah, I mean I'm at 15 strength. I know that what could he possibly do to defend the war? I'm not that certain. The strategy is gone, will be gone. I will very likely take it now, or just take the cards in a way that he cannot take it, I assume. And maybe there are some situations where he can get close with Conquistadores or something. But I also assume I will take the Cavalryman. Yeah, overall I was willing to build. I think it's just low risk, high rewards play, and I don't think it can be punished in a lot of situations. And in the worst case, I can also still sacrifice a unit for 1 extra strength, admittedly, because I'm attacking, and I can possibly also still take the 2 Saladin strength. I'm not entirely certain if I do that, but it can still be an option. So yeah, I'm willing to go for this. There's even a Bread and Circus here, 1 extra strength. Use the rich land, take Republic. I actually don't even make sure to get the strategy out, interestingly. But I guess I thought if he goes for strategy, he cannot go for another unit type, so that might even not be the best option for him. Yeah. And I do choose the strength. There's an answer in borders. I did see that. Nice to have won that. Genghis takes the strategy away, even, interestingly. Yeah, possibly he just doesn't want to be the target of a war himself, so he does take it. But there might be arguments to be made that it's better for him to leave it for first of Dao. But as I said, I assume his better option is even to go for another unit type. But that requires for 1 to drop, and it's unclear whether there will. Yeah, there's not 1 in the row yet. So let's see how that turns out. So yeah, possibly just doesn't want to get targeted by a war himself and takes it. Also possibly means that he can defend an aggression, actually. That kind of indicates that he didn't before. And we remember the bidding on the colony. He didn't bid extensively himself. I mean, he also had to be afraid of an aggression, but it also might indicate that he didn't have many cards to defend. Goes for another core, goes for scientific methods, and yeah, his civilization is actually looking quite decent. Yeah, he will have everything soon. So let's see how that turns out. He even has not the worst culture situation thanks to Nostradamus, but he's not producing a lot. So we see the foray here. That doesn't help him in the war. And yeah, he kind of has no really good options to get a lot stronger. He goes for some swordsman. He manages to go to 14, and that's still just a spy, basically, and a lot of value for me. And sadly, I mean, at this point that would have been a little mean, but I still try to enslave him, because I think, as we discussed, he didn't have a defense card, and after that he didn't draw that many cards. So yeah, there was a defense card, but that would have been a little much also. At this point, I'm gladly switching to Darwin and going for the journalism. I think I'm set up quite neatly to defend aggressions, and I need to improve my science income. I did consider going for scientific method, but I did want to be a little greedy here. And I think I can, especially with the castle, I can afford to be a little greedy. I think it's the first copy of Rifleman, yes. But yeah, they do look important, obviously, but as I said, I think I'm in a good position to be a little greedy here. Especially since Genghis he does have a good economy soon, but he does not have a lot of food yet. So it's very unlikely that he starts being, or he's able to start being aggressive anytime, or at least in the next 2 turns or something. He might have a classical army, obviously, but even then, it will take 1 or 2 turns until until he has that going. And he really wants to do other things before that. So yeah, it is a little greedy, but I think it's a reasonable greed here. And there's been another science in the deck, actually. Gangsip goes for Code of Laws, upgrades the mine, takes selective breeding, goes for selective breeding. And interestingly, he doesn't take the Rifleman, so that's surprising to see. Might indicate that he has another tactic like fortification or mobile artillery already. So yeah, he doesn't take the Rifleman here. And there's a cultural influence. It might be that it's even my event and that I was willing to go for journalism because of that, but I'm not super certain about it. Might be from someone else. Glad to see that, obviously, just yeah, a little extra reason why my greed might be a good option. Fist of Tao goes for selective breeding here after playing his Revideer, upgrades the farm, takes patriotism. So his situation, his civilization looks actually playable. His biggest problem is science, and let's see how he can possibly fix that in the future. Iconoclasm revealed. I'm actually quite happy that it's here and not, I guess, Genghis played that possibly. It's pretty good James Watt event. And if he seeded that, that means if it wasn't here, then he would probably not seed, and then it would be very likely that we would lose our leaders. And I'm very happy to dodge that scenario since, yeah, Darwin is just giving super much value here in this game. And I did the thing again where we have to be patient together. And can think about what is going to happen in this turn. I have the 2 options, I think. Or actually not. Maybe 2 options. Something like disbanding a warrior and building a journalism, but that might even be a little greedy for my taste. Or just going for this revolution. Doesn't take the Rifleman again, but H2 is almost over, and there's 2 copies of modern infantry, and I think going for modern infantry is a super good option here with so many warriors. It's even a lot better than going for Rifleman. It's more efficient in any regard. So I do think the revolution is the correct call here. There's the terrorism. That's not something I'm happy to see. So Genghis did play that, obviously, and did get rewarded for it. Or it might also be that First of Towers seeded that and taught the other guys journalism. But that's very unlikely. It's most likely that Genghis played that and gets rewarded for his playstyle here. It's basically always when you go for this playstyle where you don't go for culture, or a lot of culture at least, drawing a terrorism is always super impactful, especially if someone else just built a journalism. And as I said, I don't like that event. I think it's way too impactful, way too swingy, way too random also. Yeah. And interestingly goes for another religion, maybe anticipates some happiness-related events. And yeah, take some cards. Does take Rifleman now. We see first of all rebuilding the printing press. Takes cannon. Takes cavalryman. And sadly cannot develop any of that unless there's some code war here, I guess. I see it, and there's prosperity. That's quite nice because I can populate twice and just rebuild my journalism. I do go for another Red and Circus, take the military build up here, super nice cards. Yeah, I'm even willing not to take cannon, not to take tanks here, because I don't really have population for those anyway. And I think my best option is to, and also I don't have a tactic for that yet, and I think my best option is to get modern infantry and then spam modern infantry with this military build up. So I was thinking about the turn for quite a long time. I was like, okay, am I crazy not taking any of those techs? But I honestly think that's the better option, to take this build up, have a lot of rocks for the case of someone going aggressive, and then yeah, going for any of those H3 techs, be it rockets, be it modern infantry, be it just air forces actually. So Gangsip goes for the scientific method. As I said, his civilization, his economy is super strong here. His only problem, more or less, is that he's not even that far behind in culture in this game. So it's not exactly the same as in the 4-player game. I think he's in a super good spot here still to win the game. Does take tanks. And builds a knight. Is even willing to disband the warrior, so it indicates well, he didn't take cannons, so it kind of indicates still possibly conquistadores or just hussars. Both not the best tactics for me with a wall. I actually would love to see any yeah, infantry or artillery related text in the game. I haven't drawn one myself, sadly, although I had 3 military actions all game, but admittedly I spent a lot of military actions also, so cannot complain too much. I haven't drawn excessive cards. Fist of Tao goes for organized religion, and there's a rev idea for him that's super important for him to stay in the game. And is able to build another printing press. So his situation, I think, drastically improved thanks to this rev idea, and now it's actually looking kind of playable. I go for the tourism with First of Tao, and yeah, what can I say? I actually feel kind of bad for Genghis. This pact is just too strong. But I mentioned that already, and there's just not a reason for him to not accept that. There's sadly just not a reason for First of Tao to not accept that. And I take Kubota and Pro Sports. Super good combination, obviously. There's sadly no red tech here. And by now I feel a little, yeah, I guess I'm a little afraid. I have to be a little afraid, but at least there's a Pro Sports and I can build some strength. But with that, I still have the castle. So yeah, let's see if it's this decision of not taking one, but the military build-up gets punished in some way. I don't have anything to do. I still think this journalism has a lot of value. 3 culture, 2 science per turn. So do take that, do take reserves, enables extra population, or just 4 rocks. So those reserve 3, they are always very impactful cards. I would have loved to take the internet. I have a super good setup for a strong internet, but I think that would have been indeed too greedy. I cannot afford those 3 civil actions. Although I have a lot of civil actions, I don't think I could have afforded that. I needed those cards here. Gangsip seeds an event, revealed civil unrest. So I actually think I was a little lucky at that one point. I think I seeded and I had 2 NLP workers, or maybe 1. Not certain. I was willing to take that risk, and I guess I dodged this event, and now we have to be patient again. I guess Genghis still has a lot of options he can go for. He can go for a war route. He has a lot of military actions, or he could go for a civil route. I think what he would have loved to have for the civil route is multimedia here. But even movies just building movies now might be a good option. Admittedly, he does not have architecture, or well, no, he does have architecture, but he wouldn't have enough science for movies and architecture right now. Might still be a good idea, but he does go for the military route. He goes for tanks. I mean, it's also very understandable. As I said, he has a lot of military actions. Plays Regality, builds a tank, upgrades a knight to tank, and indeed reveals the hussars. And yeah, I was not very happy to see that. It's a worst tactic to be in the game with the wall. And yeah, let's see how it turns out, how I can defend this. He can swap his leader. That's a really nice choice here. After James Watt, Marie Curie has a lot of value. Sadly not the 3-point value, but she does give 2 science, 2 culture, and 2 strength, and I think it's very reasonable to go for that. I guess a little bit of everything. I'm not too convinced. Maybe there could be better options if he waited, but yeah. Yeah, I'm not really entirely convinced that it's the right move to go for those tanks. Kind of depends on his card here also. He could just go for movies possibly and go for Chaplin, Hollywood, Dietrich, Hollywood. I think he had also a good shot to go for this game civil-wise. But I don't know. This also looks good. He only has 10 rocks, so I gladly don't have to be too afraid by a possible war, because he cannot build 2 tanks. Can only upgrade 2 times. So possibly reserves, but he doesn't have people. Doesn't have the happy faces. Efficient upgrade is 4 rocks. That's 7, 3, 2. Okay, no. He would have. With the reserves instead of this, he would have threatened the war with 2 tanks. And 2 tanks are 15 strength. That would be a lot. So maybe that would have been an option. First of all, plays the Reverdier and builds Cavalryman and builds to develops Cavalryman, builds to Cavalryman, and reveals the classical army. And that's actually a little nicer to see possibly for me, because this tactic involves infantry. On the other hand, I don't have infantry yet, and I really hope that it drops soon, so I can go for infantry instead of having to go for tanks. But it doesn't. Well, there's rockets. Okay, yeah, I remember. There's no rocket tactic in the game yet. I don't have one, and I remember contemplating, what am I doing here? Am I just building rockets blindly because they are so much more valuable with the wall, and hope to get the tactic, or is it the safer bet to just start building tanks and going for one of those tactics possibly. And I decided in the end to go for tanks. I think it's the safer bet. And I can still take military theory, thanks to Darwin, only for 2 civil actions. I disband a temple that I don't really need and build a tank. And then I can still take reserves. I have a lot of reserves in hand with military build-up. I will have enough science to go for military theory, so it's actually quite tough to war me. Especially with the castle. It's actually really tough to war me with all those reserves and military actions in hand. So yeah, I think my situation is quite nice. I would have preferred for what I want, yeah, modern infantry to drop, then I could just upgrade modern infantry. But like this, I can also be quite happy to get this copy of the tanks, I guess. First of Tower had the option to deny them from me, but didn't do that. And I think metagame-wise, it's also correct not to spend his entire turn to deny this tech from me. And yeah, then after the turn, I was like, yeah, I should have gambled, but in hindsight, you're always more clever. This is the positional army. So that would have obviously been a lot better to go for rockets there. But yeah, I calculated a lot, and I think the tanks were the safer bet. I cannot really count on drawing one of those tactics. And Gangsip is upgrading those knights to tanks. Takes Rev Idea, Patriotism, pretty important card, Civil Service, plays the Civil Service, still has enough signs for Air Forces and enough rocks also now for Air Forces. Now he's threatening a war with 57 strength. 2 Air Forces are 20 strength, so 57, and yeah, I don't have to be too afraid of that, I think, because I have countless rocks. I can possibly... I'm pretty confident that I can win the war in 2 turns, by the way. Also, I have some time left to prepare defending a possible war. And yeah, at this stage also, his game plan is clear. He wants to go for war, but why not take some option to also go for multimedia or movies and a big wonder? He has such a good economy. I don't think this is a good game plan. I don't think an H2 tactic is strong enough to go for war. So I mean, he does also a rifleman, but he did not take rockets. So I think his win condition is actually to draw that one tactic. Then I'm actually afraid. If he draws this, then I have to be afraid, the shock troops. Because then we talk about something else than 57, and it's more like 80 strength he goes to in 2 turns possibly. But that's only one card. If he had rockets, then there would also be a lot of other tactics that are possible, and I think the hussars are not strong enough. And we see, I mean, at this point, it's just, he's just mocking me, isn't he? Why does he do that? Why does he waste his military actions? I mean, I guess there's some chance that I can't, or I had to sack something. Let's leave it at that. It's his favorite hobby in the game, 100% to declare aggressions against me. Doesn't he need his military actions? Well, yeah, I mean, he looks like he can defend decently. He even gets Dietrich. He doesn't get movies, so she won't be doing anything culturally, but can help a lot with defending a possible war. I am now willing to pay some civil actions for a wonder. I think I might still need that as a win condition, or I don't want him to have that as his win condition. So I am willing to pay 4 civil actions here for a wonder that will be quite decent in such a game. And then just develop military theory. I disband the warrior and move it to tanks and actually go for the hussars. Take the mechanized agriculture, swap out the leader, because maybe in 2 turns there might be a war. Culturally, it doesn't make a huge difference. I don't think the civil actions I anticipate to make a huge difference. So I think it's a good spot to swap out the leader. There might also be no, iconoclasm is gone. Forget that argument. But yeah, I think if I want to use that 8 culture Olympic Games during a turn where war can be declared, then I have to swap it out sooner than later. And there's a war now already, and we see that even without Air Force, he didn't get Air Forces, by the way. We both got the copies. Oh no, there's still 1 copy left. Yeah, I don't have a copy. But he goes for the war just with the fundamentalism, which means that he won't have signs for Air Forces and just goes for 2 tanks. It basically, with the fundamentalism, it's the same as going for 2 Air Forces. It's roughly the same. Can still go for military theory or just takes it in hand. And it's 58 strength. Possibly until the war is revealed, Napoleon might be gone, or possibly. It depends how many cards will be taken. Maybe it's a little unlikely, but let's see. Maybe he's going to switch the leader anyway, although, yeah, let's see what he does. He's 1 sign short for Air Forces. Oh, yeah. What a pity. It's just 1 sign short for Air Force. What can you do? Just upgrade some swordsmen to modern infantry. And yeah. Lex Dietrich. 9 minus 3. 6. Wouldn't it be stronger to just build a cavalryman instead of upgrading here and then fulfilling the army without Dietrich and keeping Napoleon in the game? Wouldn't it be a little stronger? Yeah, whatever. Decides to do this. Basically, this should mean that Genghis will be ahead of First of Dao 100%, and I will also be ahead of First of Dao, and between us, I don't know if that war will probably not be enough. What I was afraid of is that he has another war, and now Genghis is just not really well prepared to defend a possible war. Since he has no signs for Air Forces, he does not have many rocks left. And yeah, second war might be enough to catch up with me. Then again, I also have a wonder in hand, and it depends on how strong he can get. And actually, he only has 10 rocks, so it's not like he can just go for, can't even go for another tactic. He can go for a tank in the night, but that's also not that much. Yeah, let's see how that turns out. I play the military build-up. I don't want to lose to an aggression. I did use the Olympic Games, I guess, yes. Built another tank, built even another tank. So I'm even not the weakest, and I actually can defend an aggression with sacrificing. I don't think an aggression is a win condition for him now, but still should be good to try to be able to defend that. And then I don't know about this oil. I guess it's just some technologies for impacts. Possibly, I thought maybe the growth doesn't do a lot. Oh, and I actually ensured by taking those cards, that's also very important, that the game will, that the age will end. Because I don't want to give him more time to leverage his better economy. The sooner the game ends, the better here. I will have enough resources to build the Wonder, and I'm actually quite confident that another war is not enough, since he only has 10 rocks. Possibly, I even decided not to seed an event, to not possibly give him extra rocks from economic progress or arms industry, so that's probably the reason why I did not seed. And there is another war, and yeah, of course he goes for Fist of Tao again. Cannot really go against me. Or maybe, I mean, I don't even know. Maybe he could have gone for me last turn. I didn't even calculate it perfectly, but I still had some reserves. I possibly would have to destroy some more. Maybe I could have won it with sacrificing. That's the strength of the Himeji castle, right? It's basically 8 extra strength when defending a war and with a tank, and yeah, just losing war over culture barely without a strong follow-up war was not an option. As I said, if he had this shock troops, I think he would have a decent shot at winning, because that's a big difference strength-wise. Especially if he then still manages to get air forces out somehow. But let's see, he does go for this extra tank and knight. It goes to 70 strength. Fist of Tower does not have a good option to get a lot stronger. As we saw, he does not have enough rocks for another army, so he can just upgrade twice. Can actually do nothing. He can also not resign anymore, since it's H4. Not sure if that was something you would consider, but it's not an option. Don't ask me why. I have no idea about this design choice. I think it's a super big flaw in the game that you cannot resign in H4. And there's the territory revealed. I was not willing to bid on that. I'm just going to build the Wonder and get some technologies out. That's my turn. Ending at 160 culture. Genghis is at 100 before his turn. He is the strongest player now, can take something away from me, but it's not my turn anymore, so that's not that important. He gets an engineering out, and now we see something yeah, very nice. You don't see all too often. He has a perfect progress, and he did play 1 impact. He did play 1, so it might be the impact of progress, which actually does matter. So basically, I think he doesn't have a shot at winning, unless Fist of Tao for some. Well, he has only 2 impacts, so there's not any impacts seeded by Fist of Tao. I guess with perfect impacts, he could still catch up 60 culture, but not with only 2 impacts. 1 is seeded by me. I think it was impact of culture, I assume. Or actually, I don't know. I think I remember that. And well, if he has the impact of progress, that's nice for him. It does actually matter, because in a tie, the domination counts, it matters, and then it's just 30 culture that he gains here, which is crazy. And we see the impact of progress. He does have the perfect impact of progress, so it might have been more important than I initially thought to bid on this developed territory, because it helped, but also it made a difference of 4 culture or something, I guess. Maybe 6, I don't know if he had something before that. Yeah, and then there's an impact of culture. I win that. And that's the game. So I guess to recap this game, it fitted my playstyle quite well. I was definitely lucky in some situations. I was lucky to be able to plunder first of DAO. I do think it's quite a misplay by him to bid in a way where he cannot defend aggressions. It's just too greedy by him. I assume he was hoping to just make it more expensive for someone else, but that, as we saw, that can be quite game losing. And I'm not certain if we went back to the turn before Air Forces, if there wasn't a way to just ensure to have 12 signs, just build this extra philosophy or printing press somehow. Maybe it was possible. Maybe he had to do that. And then, yeah, if he doesn't lose 2 wars, I think he might even have a chance against Genghis, stay in second. Possibly not with this perfect impact of progress, but still. But then again, I'm not certain. Maybe he just didn't have the chance of going to 12 signs. Maybe it just wasn't possible. I mean, he did fight quite well to stay in the game after a very disastrous early H2 with the plunder and the war over tech. But it was kinda over for him at that point. And yeah, he did fight well to stay in the game somehow. And Genghis, as I said, I think his situation looked super good. Start of H3, I think Hussars are not strong enough to win against 2 people, especially. I mean, it's obviously strong enough to win against 1 person, but not against 2. He could have hoped for the shock troops. Maybe that was his out. But I also think he would just be way better off if he just went for movies at one point. Just go for movies, go for possibly Chaplin at some point and build Hollywood for 40 culture or something. And then it's very close, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Kind of hard to say. In hindsight, it's always easier also to say that obviously, evidently his play didn't win, but it's hard to say in the moment. But I do think, if I can give one feedback to Genghis, I do think he plays a little too one-dimensional in overall. He gives a lot of value on economy, which is correct, and military, which is not bad. But I think sometimes he could just go for culture earlier to, yeah. I mean, what does he do in games where he doesn't draw wars? If he has no cultural setup, I guess. But anyway, the stage is still now very open. After this game, if you count these 3 games, to be honest, it's not in total chronological order, but they finished very, very close to each other, and I wanted to show this game now. And if we count those 3 games, then we both have 11 points. He just got 2 and had 9 after the first 2 games. Now he has 11. I got 5 and I had 6 after the first 2 games, so I also have 11. And first of DAO stays at 4 points, so it's quite open. And yeah, I definitely have a chance to proceed, even though the first game was pretty underwhelming result-wise. And let's see how the next games turn out to be. I'm already at this game. I think I also mentioned it in the last game that possibly just the one-on-ones are gonna be very decisive in the final standings. So looking forward to show these. And yeah, thank you for watching, and leave a comment. Let me know if I missed something, or yeah, just give me some feedback if you want to, and hopefully see you in the next game. Bye bye.